And I pressed the button. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello.
Howdy,
Thanks
howdy.
for being here. Do you know what I just did? I just put a poll in the live chat for everybody to take because I'm like, you know what? It seems like the thing to do. It seems like it's appropriate. And I want you to vote because voting is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Okay, well, what's voting then? That's still caring, I think. Glad you're here hanging out with us this fine evening.
Voting
Thanks.
is doting. Get
That-
it? Like when you dote on somebody.
I guess. But I'm glad you're here. I think she's pretty glad you're here.
I
mean, I don't
am.
want to speak for you or anything.
Yay, of course I am.
There are many things you could be doing on a
Oh,
Thursday evening at 8
friends.
p.m. Central Standard Time, but you've
I
chosen
know.
to be here, or if you're watching the replay, you're some other day, some other time,
You're
and
part
you've
of the
still made a
replay
good
crew.
choice. So I suppose that's good too. Thanks for being here. Pam, just want to say thank you for becoming a prime timer. I noticed that right away. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the experience. Tonight, we've got things to talk about. We're going to be talking about, let's see, shell dwellers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just think it would be cool to talk about them and how to keep them. If you've never kept shell dwellers, I hope by the end of this live stream, you're like,
I want some.
that is a thing to do on my list of things to do. And it will be a fun thing to do. So that is what we're talking about this fine evening. And so we have got, let's see here, some things to discuss before we get into that. Videos from this past week, this past Sunday. I did a video on keeping fish tank glass algae free and, well, really your entire aquarium algae free. And so I offered some tips that we do to keep these tanks looking the way they do with mostly minimal effort. So if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to check it out at some point. On Monday on the Tank Talk podcast, John and I talked about how to save money on hardscaping supplies. And so we did that. That was actually a viewer suggestion. And so I'm
Really?
like, that was a good one. So
Cool.
we did that. Yep.
That's always fun.
Yesterday
Saving money.
on the small scape, what did you talk about?
It was a fun one. Chill nanofish. You know, for those people like me who like your fish very chill. So, you know, no crazies in there.
No
Stressing
crazies.
you out like zooms all the time.
And I will say, probably like your last 3 or 4 videos definitely have a vibe going
I know.
on. And
I'm working
really,
on. Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that vibe.
It-
So if you haven't seen the small scape, her last 3 or 4 videos, and you want a vibe, that's the place to go. I don't have that. And I just,
Chill. It goes with the. That's why I'm picking very particular. Nobody's gonna know this, but I'm picking very particular themes or subjects to contribute to that. And I'm actually having to work videos backwards in order to do that because my brain is very small.
Okay.
My brain is very small, and
is it kind of like a centipede
everything is a
brain?
challenge. Yeah.
I would imagine a centipede brain is very small too. So.
Or they have a bunch of them. Get it? Because they're like, you know, a bunch of
I
legs.
saw a
bunch of brains.
Facebook post yesterday that said, you know how they always do like this thing like, don't kill the opossum and don't kill this thing. Well, there was one, don't smash the centipede in your house because it does a few things. I'm like,
Oh
you know
no.
what?
I don't care what it does.
I will lose that advantage to the things that it does. Those things are not going to be roaming around my house. Not many insects
That's
freak me
yuck.
out. When I see a centipede, it's going down. It's going way down. Not having it.
Yeah.
What is today? Thursday. So today, the prime timers, we talked about a little bit about fish behavior. And then Sunday, I've got a very practical video coming out that I think a lot of people have asked about, a lot of questions. And so I'm hoping to answer some of said questions on Sunday.
Noelle says it's her cool vibe music lately in addition to her cool vibe self. Thanks, Noelle. That's really nice of you.
You've got a vibe.
I've got a vibe. I'm a cool girl.
Like,
No, wait, what's that?
Wait.
I'm a cool mom.
not
I'm
like
not
those
like
other
other
moms.
I'm
Yeah.
a cool mom.
Yeah. Oh, see how that's a very
Nobody's ever said that.
C-level quote from the movie. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's going to get that.
No?
I
Oh, yeah.
really don't.
Oh, for
No,
sure.
I
That's
don't.
even, there's a one channel that I watch. She does like decor, and that was her thumbnail. It was,
I'm a cool
I'm
mom,
not
I'm
a
not-
cool mom. No, wait.
No, I'm a cool mom. I'm
I'm
not
not
like
a regular
the other
mom.
moms.
No, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. But she had the moms, because she's not a mom yet. She had the moms crossed
Oh,
out and said room.
I stand corrected.
She was decor room. You're not even listening.
Aquanan got it.
Really? Did you
Yeah.
get it? There you
And
go.
so did Noel.
Yeah,
Okay.
see?
Well
Yeah.
done. Well done. I didn't, that was definitely like a C tier level quote. So, S. Martin,
Bonus points.
yeah, I think the plan right now, and I don't hold me to this because now that we're not selling at the swaps, we could wake up Saturday morning and be like, nah, I don't want to go. So, but all of our intention as of this time, as of the making of this live stream, we plan to go to the Greenwater Aquarius Society
do.
swap on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Rink, I thought I saw you here. Rink, are you here? You going? Of course you're going, right?
Well, yeah.
You're going.
So, but that's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I would say we're 90-ish% certain that is going to. You go, Glen Coco.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing for you, Gretchen.
Classic.
Okay, so today, shell dwellers. I wanted to just talk about these little tiny fish for those of you who are like, shell dwellers, aren't they cichlids? Aren't they supposed to be mean? Don't they have problems? Aren't they like crazy in the head? No, this is a cichlid that you could very likely keep, and you don't need a large tank, which we're going to talk about why in a few seconds. And I always tell people, if you are looking to get into African cichlids in particular, but you don't want to deal with the horror stories of, oh my gosh, all these fish just started ganging up on each other and they were constantly chasing each other around and fin nipping and causing all this damage. And I like to look at fish so that I'm not stressed, and I don't want the fish to make me more stressed. This could be a fish for you. They have very, very, very interesting community dynamics. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So I've got a whole bunch of stuff that you can see here, some shell dwellers that you're going to be able to kind of check out and, I don't know, just enjoy as we're talking about it. So first thing, what are they? They are little tiny African cichlids, like I alluded to. Usually they're going to be around anywhere from 1 inch to maybe 1.75 inches. There are some important exceptions, like the Calypterus, which I'm not even sure if it's going to be on this video. That's a brevis right there, mixed with some Cyprichromis that are not shell dwellers. But these are very small fish, and because they are very small fish, they can potentially be put in smaller aquariums. But not only that, if you've got a 20-gallon tank, that's enough, right, for a lot of the shell dwellers that we're going to be talking about tonight. So you don't need a big tank, and you're not going to necessarily be dealing with just crazy amounts of aggression, especially for a lot of the ones that are going to be more beginner-like, I would say. The one thing I will say, water parameters. If you are somebody that has very soft water and it has a low pH, like neutral or less, these may not be the fish for you unless you are willing to maybe add some crushed coral or some aragonite. The Carib Sea African cichlid mix is awesome for these fish. Then you can put like another layer of sand on top of that if you want to, just to get the KH and the GH up, to get the pH up, because ideally you really want these fish minimally to be in the upper 7s. The 8s would be nice. The low 8s would be really nice for the pH. GH and KH, we keep them at 10 degrees. That works out really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tank size, we already mentioned, right around a 20 gallon. That's the nice thing about these fish, because they stay small. That's not going to be a problem. Feeding, they really aren't that picky. We feed all things North Fin, and so they get the rotation of kelp, cichlid, community, and krill flakes. They love the little community sinking pellets from North Fin as well. So they are definitely not picky. They will absolutely go crazy for some live baby brine, even as adults. And if you are interested in breeding these fish, that is absolutely a great way to make sure that your fry are going to survive. If you were going to set up a tank for shell dwellers, what are you doing?
Well,
You're the scaping person.
well, shells.
That's profound. Anything else?
Welcome. Rocks.
And
I don't know, maybe some driftwood?
you're going to do driftwood, huh? I don't know. You could. So, yeah, I would agree with you there. Sand is an absolute must for these fish, because they do move sand around. They're going to stack sand. They're going to move their shells. They're going to bury shells. And so as the name implies, and as what you're seeing throughout this video, I say sand, and now I got these. This was a quarantine tank for these guys. I had to pull them out. So don't judge me, bro. That was not a long-term solution where they're on a 10-gallon on gravel there. But sand is a must, because they are going to be constantly moving substrate around. Shells, as the name implies, that's a must. That's their homes. They make little tiny homes from the shells. This is where
So
they
cute.
they make their babies. This is where the babies are going to be. The eggs are going to be laid, and their eggs are going to be, when they hatch, the babies just kind of peek their little tiny, tiny, tiny faces out of the shells, and then they zip right back in. And pretty soon they get more confident, and the more confident they get, the further away from the shells they move. And it's a very interesting thing to see, and it's an interesting behavior. So shells are a must. I like your idea with the rock work, and the rock work is really there just to break up lines of sight in case you have a couple males that are like, hey man, this is my territory. No, this is mine. Now they're not overly aggressive, but the rocks can help just give them a sense of, this area is my area, and I can't even see other mean guys in my area, and so I'm going to just chill out a lot. That can be helpful.
Now, when I say driftwood, just so you know how I picture, if I were, now, because I've never set up a shell dweller tank. I've never scaped one.
Yeah.
Because they would mess it up. But if I were to see like a shell dweller scape, it would be very like a river scape, where it's very, loosely decorated. So like driftwood just kind of like hanging around. You know how when you throw in some cholla wood,
Yeah.
you basically don't plan exactly where it's going to go. You just kind of chuck it in, and it just lands where it lands.
There's this
So
one
very natural.
one small problem with that. They don't live in rivers.
Well, I know they don't, but that's how I picture it.
Okay, you
When
can
you-
picture it
when
that
you-
way. Yeah.
Do like a shell dweller, because it's very like a riverscape. Is not highly, it's not like a, like, what am I trying to say? Like a, like, I don't know, really
Yeah. So
specific.
with the shell dwellers coming from Lake Tanganyika, they do have sand. They do have a lot of shells. And the rocks are mostly just piles of rocks. And so if you're not somebody who is super into aquascaping, a giant pile of rocks,
It's
like
your
maybe in
go-to.
the middle, and an entire perimeter, I'm thinking like a 40 breeder where you've got a big pile of rocks in the center, and then you've got sand all along the perimeter with some shells, that would actually be a really great idea. You can see here we use some flagstone. This is not really a shell dweller, but I put the caudal punks in there because they're about the same size. But the flagstone is an awesome addition, really, really inexpensive if you go to a landscaping place. For those of you with softer water, with a lower pH, that flagstone can actually help a little bit with your water parameters. It didn't do anything to our water parameters because our water is already hard, already has a high pH. Would you plant a shell dweller tank?
No,
Why?
because they're always messing up the substrate, and it's just going to dislodge your plants.
Yeah. Now, the caveat to that, of course, is you could glue a new. Again, this is
You
not
could.
biotope specific at this point. So you purebred shell dwelling type of people, don't freak out. Right? There's some hornwort in there. You could
The
absolutely glue.
125, we had Val.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we had valve. Yeah, and the valve in the
Anubias.
most of this places was okay in our giant Lake Tanganyika setup. We had Anubias glued to wood, and there was no wood in that. Anubias glued to rocks. So here you're seeing hornwort in our multi-tank. I like the hornwort just because it keeps the nitrates down. It grows so fast, and when you start getting a larger colony, well, you're going to have to do more water changes, and one way to get around that, of course, is to add lots of plants, and that usually helps consume some of those nitrates. So if you're going to do plants, the purists out there will be like, that's not a biotope. I don't really care. Most of my tanks aren't biotopes. I want a tank that's enjoyable, and it's still going to be healthy for the fish. So I would certainly, if I were doing another shell dweller tank, I think I would do some rocks and have some Anubias glued to it, just to have some greenery. It makes it look nice. And I think the fish themselves, I noticed that the fish, when I had the hornwort in these tanks, they seem to come out a lot more, be a little bit more confident
Yeah.
than just the
Open,
bare sort of
like
open
open air,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, what else? Flow. They don't mind a little bit of flow. So in our 50-gallon lowboy, that's the tank you're looking at here. They didn't mind when I had I always use that tank to test hang-on back filters, because it was one of the, I felt like if a hang-on back filter can survive in this tank, it could survive anywhere. So when I had some of those larger hang-on backs that were kicking out flow, and I got kind of a circular motion, it was definitely something that the fish enjoyed. So definitely, if you want to do some flow, that's fine. I wouldn't like start blowing them all around, because it might be a little bit difficult for the fry. But for the most part, if you've got a canister filter on a tank or a hang on back, that's fine. You don't have to. Sponge filters are the vast majority of how we've kept pretty much all these fish.
Now, speaking of rocks, Beto Great Lake says, can you get a rock pile of fake rocks that looks good? Because I know you have fake,
The fake backgrounds. Yeah,
right, but they came with fake rocks too.
yeah, which I didn't use
Right.
because, so that's a great question. When I got the 3D background, you can't see it, it's off camera, but the Mbuna tank in the gallery, they gave me some 3D rock type stuff. It was, just like the foam, but it was going to float. So what I would have had to have done is glued it to the bare bottom of the aquarium first. But then I was like, holy cow, now these things are stuck. I actually threw them away. I threw the fake rocks away. I'm like, there is no situation where I'm
Really?
going to use these things
Huh.
because you have to glue them to the bottom of the tank and then they're stuck there.
Well, you know that
And
it's
they're-
not that hard to get them off, right?
Well, I know, but they were so
razor blade.
sparse that it didn't matter. You'd had to spend so much money buying these fake rocks. It just
I could
didn't
have
make
used them in the
sense.
garden or
Well,
something.
no, because they would have just blown. They were really light. I mean, they would have blown
I
away.
know, but there's things you can do with them.
No, there's nothing you can do.
Put them in a
there's nothing.
container.
Nope, they would have blown. The whole container would have blown away because those fake rocks are so light.
Duh.
I mean, if you were holding those fake rocks and it got windy outside, you would literally
You
blow
would fly away like Mary Poppins.
because the rocks are so light.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I
I
know.
would not. I mean, if I was going out in
I
wind,
know.
I would just empty
Put 'em
all my
down.
pockets of fake rocks so I could just walk around. Because the minute you put those in there, you become airborne. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Your fish, they float away. Like right out of... Okay, hold on. Time out. Can I just... We're going to talk... Hold on. I need to pause this. I need to share.
He's so pretty. Look at him.
Yeah,
So
that's a
pretty.
good place to stop. Last night, I had a dream.
Oh,
Can I just share this with...
he's
I
got the
promise I'm not-
weirdest dreams.
This was really weird, so I need to share this. It just popped into my head when I said that. I had a dream. Most of my dreams are about like we're traveling. And every time in my dream, I have a map like off to the side of where we've been and where we're going. It just seems like there's always a map in the upper right-hand corner. So I don't remember. We were south, I think like in Arkansas, but then somehow we were boarding a plane to go to Hawaii, which we've never been there. And it was a gigantic plane, but it was so cool. When you walked in, like it looked like a log cabin. So the entire
Cool.
plane, and the ceilings were like really high ceilings, like you would
Oh.
see in a log cabin. They had all the wood and everything, and there was paneling on the sides of the plane. It was massive. So we go to the back, and we're sitting there, and it was the biggest plane I've ever seen in my life. And you know who was sitting 2 rows up and across from us?
Who?
Dan Moreno.
Really?
Dan Moreno was sitting there. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go talk to Dan Moreno. And he was actually a really nice guy in my dream. And so we're talking and stuff. But it wasn't about football or anything. It was just about random things. But then what happened is this giant plane, we took off, and then we had to turn around. We had to go back to the airport. But the whole time, the plane never got more than, let's say, 1,000 feet off the ground.
Oh.
So it's this massive, biggest plane I've ever seen, and it's flying through these buildings and these towns and stuff. And then I had to turn around at this big loop, and then we were heading towards a bridge, but the bridge behind it, there was a volcano, and that erupted. And so then the plane just took a left, but went under the bridge instead of over it, and then that was when I woke up. But it was like we were fine. So there you go.
Wow.
I was very tired when I woke up this morning because that was pretty
A lot of
stressful.
activity.
Yeah, that was a big flight, and so that's what happened there. I just wanted to share that with everybody because I know you care so much about my dreams. I'll let you interpret that.
No, I'll peek into the mind of Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah. So, and
Mine's
I have
like
very
always
vivid
going.
dreams, and I
He
remember
does.
most
I
of
don't.
them.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But that
Nothing.
plane with the log cabin feel was great with the vaulted ceilings.
Yeah,
Really
that'd be
cool. I
pretty
highly
cool.
recommend airlines. It would probably have weighed
Log
so much you
cabin.
couldn't. Maybe that's why I couldn't fly more than 1,000 feet
look
off
at
the
him.
ground,
He's so cute.
because there were so many logs in there, and it was just too heavy. Okay, back to our subject, and now back to our subject. If you're going to start a shell dweller tank, again, 20 gallon is fine. Get a half a dozen, right? That's going to increase your likelihood that you get both males and females. It's not a guarantee, but it's going to increase the probability. I always tell people, get 6. Throw them in a 20 gallon, or nothing smaller than a 20 gallon, but that should help. If you're doing these gold ocellatus, be a little bit more careful there. They can be a little bit more aggressive. There are more aggressive shell dwellers. The ocellatus, the meleagris, which I've shown here, are somewhat more aggressive. Probably not the best ones to start out with. But if you want to go with Maltese or Similis or Brevis, those are all, I show them all in this video, all good options. But get yourself a half a dozen, and people always ask, well, when are they going to breed? When are they going to breed? Haven't any babies? Takes a while. Sometimes, especially if you get them sub-adult, you might be waiting 6 to 9 months. But Once they start breeding, I promise you, you will have a lot of fish. This is the Simulus here, very similar to a multi. Great looking fish. That was a 20 gallon, and that colony thrived in that tank until I finally moved all those fish out and sold them at a swap and kind of recycled that tank for something else. So that is a really good example of how we set up a tank. Most of the time, with the exception of the Simulus, I would say pretty much all the other shell dwellers, I would like to see them on a white sand. I think it shows off their color much nicer. The Simulus are the only ones that I can think of offhand that look better on a black substrate, where their white stripes come through a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Now, who do you think would be a bad fish keeper, or let me rephrase, what type of fish keeper would probably have a bad experience with shell dwellers? Like, not like them.
An aquascaper.
Yeah, if you're a hardcore aquascaper,
That's
you've
tough.
seen,
Yeah.
hopefully throughout this entire little video I'm showing you, they move stuff around. They're going to move sand. They're
They
going to make
do.
giant piles. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the 50-gallon lowboy right there. There are 5-inch piles of sand and mountains and shells everywhere.
Until
it's-
tomorrow when there aren't.
And then
They're
they're going
somewhere
to be they're going to be there. They're just going to be in a different place, right? So if you like a highly aquascape tank, shell dwellers aren't for you. If you love to have a very, very heavily planted aquarium outside of just some floating plants and maybe some anubias glued to rocks, you're probably not going to really do all that well with that. If your water parameters, like I said before, softer water, low pH, probably not the best unless you actively plan to raise the pH and water parameters. But other than that, these are great fish. You can see throughout this video, not a lot of fin nipping, not a lot of fish hanging out in a corner scared because they're getting beat up. They generally get along. A lot of the shell dwellers are not going to eat the fry from other shell dwellers, the exception being the Ocellatus, Meleagris. They sometimes will. Sometimes you have to remove those fry, but they're pretty easy to breed. I would say the other thing is if you are somebody who you breed these fish and you start getting a lot of them, which can sometimes happen, but you don't have any way to get rid of them, that can be
Yeah.
a little stressful too, because like the especially the multis, the Simulus, and to a certain extent the Brevis, once they really get going, it's like, ooh, what am I going to do? I've got 100 fish here, or I've got, in a 20 gallon, you might have 30 or 40, which is getting very crowded, and then you have to kind of fix that. Easiest way to slow shell dweller breeding down is to either remove shells or not add as many shells, because the shells are the place where the dominant males will find females, they'll breed, that's their territory. So if you limit the number of shells, then you're probably not going to get as much breeding. More shells usually means more breeding. Obviously you need a larger tank for more breeding as well. Okay.
Now, can I give a tip for aquascaping if you have shell dwellers?
Definitely.
Number one tip, put the rocks down first and then the sand. Because
good
you
idea.
don't want
Yeah.
your rocks shifting or squishing anybody.
Yeah.
Just tip.
Slam Boy says, will they eat adult endlers? Most definitely. Yeah. So with the shell dwellers for tank mates, again, if you're in a 20 gallon, you have, in my opinion, really no options. Maybe a bristlenose pleco. I've got bristlenose in every single one of my aquariums, and that was one thing where they just more or less ignored one another, provided that you've got some rock work for the bristlenose to go into. Certainly the 50 gallon lowboy, I've got a couple of very large bristlenose plecos in there now that have been in there for years. But small fish, most of your live bears, because the other thing that's going to happen is even if they don't eat the fish, because they're pretty small, I don't know if you noticed, but in some of those videos, you could see the fangs. Shell dwellers have fangs. They've got very sharp teeth. And when what I would call a dumb fish, like most of your live bears, they're not very socially aware. They just kind of swim wherever. And they generally don't get the hint when another fish is like, get out of here. Those types of fish, tetras would be another one where they're just going to get absolutely fin nipped. They're going to be chased. If you've got a shorter tank like a 20 gallon or like I've got the 50 gallon lowboy, now if you've got a 40 breeder or above, it's a lot easier to start adding tank mates, some of your rock dwelling fish, as long as you've got enough rocks. The Cyprichromis, that was the blue fish with the yellow tails that was in was a part of that video I just showed. That's a great one. If you want to here's another trick. If you want to limit your fry from your shell dwellers, add some calvus or some compressiceps. These are, the calvus stay very small, but they're predatory. Not mean, they're not aggressive, but they are predatory. And so they will absolutely take care of all the fry. I had them in, where were they? The 125, and I never saw babies in that tank of any fish because we had some full grown inkfin calvus, which were, when I say full grown, maybe just a few inches, the males. But
Really
in a
pretty fish, though.
125, I only had maybe 4 or 5 of them, but they made sure not a single baby fish survived in that entire tank. And then I did the same thing when the barb tank was a Lake Tanganyika setup. When I first set up the gallery, there were calvus and some gold head compressiceps in there. Never saw any fry in that tank either. So if you're looking for maybe some type of a bottom dweller, but you don't want to do a bristle nose, the dwarf Synodontis, dwarf petricola are a pretty good option. Again, I would prefer those fish to be in at least a 40 breeder before you start mixing Lake Tanganyikan fish. But you can mix the Lake Tanganyikans for the most part, but I would want at least a 40 breeder, and then you can have more options as you get larger. Can you mix different shell dwellers together? Yes and no. So I would not mix ones that look similar. So I would never mix the multis and the similars. You'll get too much hybridization, and pretty soon you don't know what you've got. I would not mix the gold ocellatus with, let's say, the Meleagris or probably the brevis. I prefer, highly prefer, if I'm going to do shell dwellers in any setup, I've got one type. And then I'll mix my rock dwellers and I'll mix open water swimmers, but because they don't hybridize like the way that shell dwellers will.
So Ryan, second floor, you like the calvus. Do you have any? I'm curious if you have any in your tank.
And there are different types of calvus. There's ink fins, there's black calvus, there's a standard.
I like them.
Yeah, they're very interesting looking fish because they look so menacing. They have like this really like sloped face. They're super, super skinny because their whole thing is that they can squeeze in between rocks and wait for fish to swim by. That's how they gobble them up. And the other thing that a lot of people don't know about the calvus is their scales are extremely sharp. Oh. And so it's a defense mechanism. So if other fish try to bite on them, fin nip them,
they're going to be
good luck. They're going to rip up their mouth. So not a very good thing. So Ted says, hey, best place to get shells, Amazon. That's a great question. I actually did a video. So for those of you who are interested in setting up a shell dweller tank, if you type in shells primetime aquatics, I'll have that whole thing there for you. All the shells that we have that you've ever seen in all of our shell dweller tanks have always just been right off of Amazon. They're escargot shells. So if you just type it, or you just type in escargot shells Amazon in Amazon, and you get a big bag and it virtually costs no money. So they're really inexpensive. It does not take a lot. I mean, minimally you could do pool filter sand, shells, done. It doesn't take a lot to set up these tanks. And I would say this is one of the very few tanks in our fish room that still has pool filter sand in it, because we switched a lot of it out because it wasn't working well.
That's pool filter sand? Yeah. I don't think I even knew that.
Yeah, but the shell dwellers, they are constantly sifting through it and stuff, so anything that gets caught in the sand is usually getting caught up in the filtration systems. So it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, at restaurant supply stores.
Restaurant supply stores. Why would?
Oh,
because do they serve stuff in escargot shells besides the actual whatever that is?
Well, yeah, like escargot when they like take out the stuff and add stuff to it and then probably put it back in.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yep.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
I don't think they put steak in there or anything.
They don't put steak in there.
Surf and turf.
All I do with those things is I just rinse them off real fast, and then when you put the shells in, you kind of have to turn them around to get the internal bubbles out, and then just let them sink. And they will be fine. Thanks, Noel, for doing that. So I'll just put the video in there for the shell dweller stuff. And by the way, I do have a video in the description of this live stream if you want to learn more about shell dwellers. Basically, it's a lot of the video I was showing you in the live stream, but with words. So you actually learn about all the individual shells.
Added words.
Word, Nick.
Nice.
Word, Dad. Word, Martin. Word, Raj. Let's see who gets that one. That one should be fairly easy for people who are big fans.
When you continued with the ending there, yes.
Yeah. Do I like the Congoensis? Yes, Beto, I do. I don't know, at least in the Chicagoland area, of a shell dweller that's been around here that I haven't kept. I'm not saying I've kept them all, but I've kept, including a lot of the weirder ones. At least the ones around here that are not as predominant, like the Calypterus, which is crazy. Lethal
Nice.
Weapon, love it.
Lethal Weapon 3. Yeah,
Was it
good
Lethal
job.
Weapon 3 though, or was it 2?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't know the difference.
No, because that was the one.
Sharpie Aquatics
No, you're right.
is
You're right.
here.
Yeah, you're right,
What?
Mike. Yeah.
Sharpie.
So.
Hey.
So. Greatest voices. I had a horrible experience with shell dwellers. It was a great 40-gallon for a year, but one died inside the shell, and it caused problems a month later. I didn't expect it. Such a healthy tank, too.
Aw.
That stinks. Yeah, it's actually
bummer.
somewhat rare. At least, I don't.
Like, where do they go, though?
Okay, so
You know
here's
what
the
I mean?
thing. I'm thinking about this now. This is crazy. You're blowing my mind here with that comment, because now I'm thinking back to all the shell dweller tanks I've ever kept,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to recall if I've ever seen a single
never have.
dead shell dweller,
I never have.
except if they were on the floor, because they do jump, by the
Oh,
way. You're going to want
right.
lids. In our 50-gallon low boy, we have the 50-gallon low boy has a big piece of polycarbonate lid, but there's a little sliver about this big where I couldn't go all the way because there's a hang-on back filter and stuff like that. And every once in a while, one will be like, "Phoop," and I'll find a dried up crusty multi on the floor. But what's crazy about that is, again, keep in mind, I have bristlenose plecos in just about every single tank. So between those and maybe the other shell dwellers are like, oh, I think I'm just going to eat my buddy over here. So, but I've never seen a dead one like in an aquarium, which is insane. Well, but okay, so the caudopunks technically aren't shell dwellers, so I can still say that. However, I did wipe out an entire almost 2 colonies of caudopunks one time
Yes.
by leaving the air off after shooting a video, because I often will turn the air off in the fish room so that the audio is better.
So you don't just hear blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah,
well,
blah.
I didn't turn all the air off. For some reason, I just turned the air off in that one little section. So I just flipped the air things, and I forgot to turn them back on. And those tanks were super, super heavily stocked because they were breeder tanks. And I lost almost all of them, I think, at the very end. Out of the probably 80 or 90 between the 220 gallons that I lost, I had like 6 left. And they started to recuperate and start to breed again. And then I eventually sold them off at a swap. So around here, somebody asked, where do we get the shell dwellers from? In the Chicagoland area, here's the thing. They're super cheap around here because so many people have them, and then they breed, and they run into the same problem everybody else has. Like, what am I going to do with a few hundred of this type of shell dweller? And then they start bringing them to swaps and pet stores and stuff. And so now everybody's got them. It's interesting, just in the Chicagoland area, that was one of the first fish that we would bring to swaps when we first started swaps back in like 2017 or 2018. By the time 2021 to 2022 rolled around, the shell dwellers were nearly worthless at our swaps, because it just really caught on in our Chicagoland area. Everybody had them. Nobody was. It's just,
Wasn't like
when you got
special,
15
hard to
swap
get.
tables and are like, please take these things. I don't know what to do with them. I'm not taking them back home. That tends to crash your market.
Well, and the ease of breeding them, so it's not like you have to worry about getting a whole bunch.
I'm super shocked that you could still walk into pet stores. So retail, they can be a little bit expensive. I've seen multis, even in this area, not so much anymore, but they can still be 10 to 15 bucks a piece, which I think is just ridiculously
Wow.
high. I think they should even retail. It's like a $5 fish around here. The more unusual ones, like the gold ocellatus or the standard ocellatus, signatus, calypterus, meleagris, I could see those going for 30, 35 bucks a piece, but they're still fairly easy to breed. So in your area, could be a completely different situation. I think, don't quote me, well, you can quote me on it. I know I gave Rob from Flip Aquatics, I brought him a colony a few years ago that he got up and running at Flip Aquatics, and periodically I think I see them on his website. So if you go to Flip Aquatics, and if he ever has multis, most likely those are my great grandfish.
Yes.
And they're from our stock from the 50-gallon
fun.
low boys. So
That's fun.
I think he still has them. I know I'm almost positive he still has a colony. Whether or not they are producing enough babies for him to constantly keep on the website, I don't know. That I don't know. Joe, good question. How can I tell the difference between ick and epi? They are similar in the sense that they both have white spots, but the ick spots tend to be smaller, more uniform and all the same size, where the epi almost looks, there's still white spots, but you might have larger ones and smaller ones, and how far they're raised off the surface of the fish might be different. The only difference really with treating them, that all the meds are basically this, for the most part, going to be the same. So your copper safe and your IC-X are going to work for either one. The big difference with the epi is you really don't want to be raising the temperature. So with IC, you can raise the temp, depending on your fish, of course, but if you have fish that can withstand the high temperatures of 84, 85, 86, great for ick, doesn't do a whole lot of good for epi, and it can actually make the situation worse. Scott says, I don't see shell dwellers in my area. They are ubiquitous online. So if you just start typing in whatever shell dweller you want, and like, you know how you do that Google thing, shell dwellers for sale, but you know, pick a species, there will most likely be a number of options that come up for just about everyone. I don't know necessarily price-wise. They don't ship great though, so you got to be a little bit careful there. It's kind of like guppy grass. Guppy grass doesn't. I'm kidding. You see the look she gave me? No, the shell dwellers, they are sensitive to temperature, so you really want to make sure that somebody who's shipping and selling shell dwellers understands. Gotta make sure they don't get chilly, because you could still get them, but if they've chilled out too much, you could have a problem. As much as we've bred shell dwellers, we used to also import some because we couldn't keep up with some of the other ones that I didn't breed as much, like the ocellatus and the brevis. And those guys, thankfully, they shipped pretty well, but they would come in individual little packs. So little tiny sealed individual packs. And that was such a pain. Like, imagine, you know, kind of a pain it is when you have like 4 or 5 bags from the fish store and you're kind of opening them all up and trying to get the fish settled. Imagine you get this big thing and you order 200 ocellatus, but they all come in these individual bags, like just a little bit of water, just a little tiny bit of water. But it was good because if one died, it wouldn't contaminate the rest of the bag. So yeah, very, very cool. M says, do we still have the fish room? Yeah, so this is the gallery. Fish room's over there. We're making some changes. So we're kind of going through that. We're going to, because we're not doing imports and worried about swaps anymore, it's going back to a joyous fish room. And so we'll still have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 17 tanks on that side, but they'll all be eventually scaped and fixed up and all that stuff. All right. Beto, great question. Have you ever bled from a shell dweller? I haven't. Eli and Luke both have.
Oh, wow. They got them, huh?
So that's I'm glad you mentioned that. So some shell dwellers are a little bit more aggressive when you have something like a hand enter their vicinity. Multis, Similis, brevis, they're not coming after you. Gold ocellatus and the standard ocellatus, if they have eggs or fry that they are protecting. Eli used to hate it because this used to be his side back when it was a fish room, and there was a gold ocellatus 20 long over there. And every once in a while, I mean, I would be laughing, but it wasn't funny to him because he just did not like doing that tank. So he would put his hand in the tank to grab the sponge filter to clean it, and they would attack him. You hear, ow, 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 ow. I hate this tank. It was really funny. But since I'm not the one that had to maintain the tanks, it was not something I had to worry about.
Guess what?
What?
The man of the hour is here. I wore this in celebration.
Yeah,
Whip
I heard.
has hit
1,000
1K.
subs, dude. Congratulations. That's really awesome. That is
Next
very
stop,
cool.
1 million.
Yeah,
okay.
1,000 to 1
Get
million.
cracking.
And you'll be able to tell us all how you did it.
Right?
Very
Woohoo!
cool.
Congrats,
Yeah.
congrats.
Very nice. Okay. Yeah. Tim says, my brevis and gold ocellatus bite me every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
That's just,
See, that's not a
and
chill
those little
fish.
fangs, man.
Was not on my chill fish list.
No, well, but ocellatus not so much.
No.
Like I said, the in terms of them being super active, swimming back and forth, not as much.
No.
But the probably one of the coolest things about the shell dwellers is the fact that their community dynamics is
like a
some of the
village.
most complex I've ever seen in fish keeping.
Mm.
I've kept me a lot of fish. Mbuna are interesting. The peacocks are interesting, but when you get the shell dwellers and those large communities like our 50-gallon lowboy, and there have been times where we've had 250, 300 fish in there and tons of shells when we were really breeding them, and to watch the way they interact. It is very complex in terms of how they communicate with one another. And what's awesome about a group that big is they almost always settle their grievances with a Festivus pole or a Festivus shell. They don't really like lock up and fight. I almost never see that in any of our tanks.
There was a couple of questions about multis eating, like taking care of their young, like not having overpopulation with shellies because they take care. I did not know that. I thought they were very...
I have not seen that with the easier to breed shell dwellers, which would be Similis, Brevis, Maltese.
Mhm.
Absolutely. The Ocelotus, the Meleagris, the
see
Calypterus. Calypterus are really interesting. They got other issues, but they will eat each other's fry, not because
Yeah.
they're trying to control population, just because they just straight up do that. So
Yeah, they just
to breed,
feel snacky.
yeah, to breed those, you do have to make somewhat of an effort. And it's not a big effort. It's like, oh, you'll start to learn. Female is spending a lot of time in that shell. She must be on eggs or a fry. Take entire shell, chuck it in a 10-gallon, and then they come out and it's fine. So really easy there. The Calypterus are one of the more interesting fish because the males are the biggest shell. Well, they're not technically, they don't spend time in the shell because they're huge. They get like 4 inches and beautiful. I think I did a species profile on that fish. If you ever want to see one of the most beautiful shell dwellers, gold ocelotus are right there, but the Calypterus, the males, they get these blue lips and this yellow head, but they can't fit in the shells, but the females can. But here's the craziest thing about that shell dweller. If you have multiple males, we had them in a 33 long, so it's a 4-foot tank. The dominant male went all up and down the 33 long, and within 2 days had every single shell.
Oh no.
And all the women. And I'm like, dude, what is up? He's like, and he's just propped up. Now, I had flagstone in there, and he wasn't in the shells. He was, because he's big, he was propped up on one of the pieces of flagstone, like overlooking his kingdom of many women and all the shells in the tank. And meanwhile, there's like 3 or 4 other males on the other side of the 33 long. Like, dude, seriously? You took all the shells and all the females. So that's what they do. And then when they breed, the males, obviously, again, they don't fit in the shells, but the females do. And then you can see their little heads sticking out of the shells. That's a really cool fish. Very difficult to find, and when you find it, they're going to be more on the expensive side, but well worth it. So if you can find the Calypterus, that's a good one. Matt, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I didn't see the comment, but if Joanna finds one, if you have one, she will attempt to make it
Throw it
known.
on out there.
Yeah.
And Sharpie says that we are still here and watching. Good to see you guys. I don't know if you guys still go to... You would usually go to the GCCA swap. I don't know if you guys have been there, or anybody been to the GCCA swap this year?
We haven't.
I know. Well,
next
I
time.
know.
I'm hoping next
I
time
know
we can
you
get over there.
haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
sorry. One other thing. Cubs, for those of you who are watching, can you give me an update every once in a while?
oh yeah,
You know the worst thing? All right.
stupid Cubs. So rude.
I don't understand how all these major sports organizations can look at the NFL, which does it perfectly when it comes to accessibility of their games. All your local games are on free TV. All the playoff games are on free TV. And it is the reason why the NFL is the most popular. Baseball is my favorite sport, but I am not afraid to say the NFL by far, and it isn't even close, is by far the most popular sport in the United States. That's why. Then you got Major League Baseball, where half of their stupid playoffs are on cable channels. I don't have TBS, and so now I'm super into Cubs playoffs for the wild card, and now I can't see any of these games because I refuse to make an effort to pay for something that I don't need. Major League Baseball, grow a brain. All your local games should be on free TV, just like the NFL, or at least most of them. And absolutely, your playoff games should be accessible for people who don't have cable, because let's face it, a lot of us, we don't need that anymore in our lives, right? It's just not necessary. But Ted says, good news, they're up 3-0. So hopefully we get a game 5 out of this.
D-Rock, yes, we did get the email. You should have probably by tomorrow, if you don't have it today, your the Amazonist that shipped out. You still need to give me access to that email so I can respond to emails. Okay.
No, it's private. Yeah.
So yes, we got the email. Yeah.
Mike says, "Go Jays, go." Yeah, see, I Yankees are my third favorite team, so that one hurt, but their team's just not very good. And I didn't expect them to go very far. I was actually surprised they had the season they did. They need some major changes, starting with the manager. And I would say for a team that can spend as much money as they do, half their offense is horrible. The top half is great, but they've got just so many. They've got a long way to go before they are a true World Series contender, in my opinion.
I would not be upset if Brewers won it all. I'm just saying. It's been like forever. I'm just saying. I'm throwing that out there because I'm a Cubs fan, you know.
If they beat the Cubs, then then I'm going to probably pull for the
Yeah.
Brewers because I like them too.
But Blue Jays have an awesome logo, so.
Yeah. Yep. And at this point, again, for baseball people, if you are the Mariners, the Tigers, and you're facing the Blue Jays, if you throw Vladimir Guerrero Jr., even a single strike, if you don't just, every time he comes up, just be like, put him on base. It's a tie game. Put him on base because he's going to make it not a tie game. So there's no reason to actually pitch to him or throw him a single pitch. Okay. See, Vito? My brother gets on me about that too because especially with the NFL, I can go down and be like, here's my first favorite. This is my 8th favorite. I can rank them all from 1 to 30.
It's weird.
Baseball, I can, again, it's my favorite sport, so I can do that. I can go White Sox, close second is Cubs, which is already weird. And then I got the Yankees as 3.
Up.
Yeah, I can just keep going down the line.
Oh, Phillies lost?
Brewers would be 4.
Phillies lost?
Dodgers are near the bottom because all they do is buy their teams these days. Yeah. So anyway.
All right, Sharpie, we agree.
Yeah.
The Cubbies are out. Go Brewer Crew. Go Sausage Race.
First of all, the Cubs are not out. They're winning. So can we not
saying.
say that just right now? Yeah. Gina says, have you ever been to a fish show in Kentucky? No, I thought there was one, though. Or no, well, the last one that I know of for sure was when the Triple Crown was there. And I went to the Triple Crown this year in San Antonio. But, yeah, I don't know besides that of any fish shows in Kentucky. But if there are, share. If somebody knows, share with the class. Matt says, I have 2 pairs of multis in a 10-gallon. I have 20 to 30 fry, looking to upgrade so I can keep small colony, 20 long or 40 breeder. I mean, if you're going to upgrade, go with 40 breeder because, and the reason I say that, if you do want to start adding some other Lake Tanganyika fish, you're going to be able to do that in a 40 breeder. You won't be able to do that as easily in a 20 long, and you'll get a more than small colony in a 40 breeder. I had multis at one point in the 50-gallon lowboy and a second tank that was a 40 breeder and probably had at least 100 in that 40 breeder and really was working out fine. Of course, I would pull those fish out and bring them to swaps, but yeah, I would try the 40 breeder if you've got the space for it. For sure. Sharpie is a Sox fan. Mrs. Sharpie's a Cubs fan. That happens. It happens. Okay, good. No, I said Matt's question was super chat.
Oh, yeah, it's the same one.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you already got it.
Cool.
The only thing that I have of socks is it's a tank top, but it's Cubs colored, so that's why I got it, and I was bedazzled. So, do I really wear it a whole lot? No, because it does say socks on it. It's kind of a bummer, but you know.
I don't know. They do have the worst field in all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
White
it
Sox
really
do.
is.
And I say that
It's
as a Sox fan. It's the ugliest field. It's in a horrible location. The
Yeah,
neighborhood's
it's
terrible.
just-
So it's just you've got like this trifecta of I never go there because and the traffic to get down to the city. Cubs
Yeah.
is even worse to get there, but at least the field is the best in all of Major League Baseball, in my opinion.
But Brewers, that's a fun field. It's way easier to get to.
It's easier to get to,
you know what I
but
mean?
that's about all it's got going for it. It's very ugly.
I think
You
I
can
like
think
it.
whatever you want, but you're wrong.
I like it.
Sharpie says, trying to watch the Cubs tonight, and we're not paying attention. And we're not paying, yeah. I agree. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me see here. I'm scrolling, looking for actual fish questions, you fish lovers out there. Don't you worry. This is not going to turn into all we're doing is talking about sports. 6 says, there we go. My 5-gallon is fully cycled, so I got a betta for it today. Very cool. It's a half moon. He's adjusting beautifully and is loving the plants. That's awesome. That's always exciting when you can get a few new fish. That's one of the things we're looking forward to the most with this fish room is eventually actually getting fish in a lot of these mostly empty tanks.
Imagine that. And I believe I saw earlier, Pennywise, that your mom had surgery. Prayers for her.
Yeah.
Hope she's doing well. All that good stuff.
Andrew says, I'm pretty sure it's in the Aquarius 10 Commandments to always upgrade to the max size you can, because otherwise you're just going to do it again. Fair enough.
You
yeah,
know,
I would say that is a reasonable comment for sure. Hey, I wanted to see, too, by the way, do you guys see the poll? Did you see the poll? Let's see what the... I don't want to end the poll.
And Ted says Boomers games are more fun lately.
Oh, the Boomers games are always more fun.
Boomers are, you know, the
yeah.
bomb.
They try harder, and they especially the Boomers themselves, that team is built on good character. So let's see. So I'm looking at the poll right now. If you haven't done the poll for the Shell Dwellers, do it, man. So Maltese are kicking butt over here, man.
They're beautiful.
53%. Brevis is scraping the bottom of the barrel there. The Ocellatus are, but the something else's. So what are the something else's then? You all that put in the something else?
Yeah.
What do we got here? I didn't want to put like 50,000 options, but I thought about at least putting the Similis in there. That would have been a good one. Putting there Signatus would have been a good one to put in there. I think probably people like them as well.
Mike Casey wants to know if I got the Anubias Dragonclaw. No, I have not gotten any yet, but it's on my list. I absolutely need it. I actually do need it. I'm gonna have to.
We'll see.
Remember that.
Austin says, is there a single fish you would suggest adding to a 20-gallon long multi-tank for fry control? Yeah, probably for that tank would be Calvis. Be careful, though, because they will make fry go away. So it'd be one of those things where once they've done their job, if you're like, ooh, I haven't seen any babies here in months, and if that's what you want, that's fine. But that is the fish that I would add. Just add just one single Calvis, but give him some rocks so he's not being harassed, even though he's, like I said, he's got that defense mechanism with all the sharp scales. They grow really, there's probably the slowest growing fish that I've ever seen is the Calvis and the Compressiceps. That's the joke. Like, hey, I've got a 1.5-inch Calvis. How long have you had them? 10 years? Because they take forever to grow, but that would be the fish for sure. Yep, Brevis. We got Team Brevis over here. Drew says YouTube app on the phone app plaster the poll all over the comments. Yeah, I think it will go away. Like after you answer it, it just times itself out, so it's not blocking all your comments. Yep. Fee says, do you all watch the fun baseball teams? Faye
of the Faye.
Like the Savannah Bananas. I know of them,
my gosh.
but I
I've
have
seen
not
clips of
watched them. So they're kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Kind of. Yeah.
But they do cool things. When they were in Chicago, Mark Burley pitched to A.J. Pierzynski.
Really?
So they had basically the battery of the 2005 Chicago White Sox World Series team that they got to, everybody got to see.
Oh, fun.
So that was pretty cool. And it was a more competitive game and team than the current Chicago White Sox are the last few years. So there's that.
Oh, and Noel wants me to wear my bedazzled shirt next week, so remind me. It
Can I be
socks
able to
though,
remind you?
but I'll wear it just to like rub it in that the socks are nowhere near the World Series. Maybe I'll wear it.
Mm-hmm. Michelle says something different to put in a 15-gallon with a betta. Something
Hey,
different.
Michelle.
I got something different. I got something that immediately popped into my brain case.
Okay, there's one, but I don't know if you consider it different.
Oh, mine are different.
Okay.
Mine are better different.
Go ahead.
You're not going to top this.
Probably not.
No, this is going to rule. Are you ready? Because it's right up your alley. Although, see, it's not going to be different for you, but it would be different for everybody else.
Okay, I've got two.
Basically, any type of smallish goby. So the rhinogobius, because you like the gobies, find a different type of goby. You know, I know you've had.
That could be fun.
You've gotten most of the ones I've ever brought in, so you're probably running to the end of your ability to find different ones. But I think they would basically ignore one another. Gobies would stay at the bottom, but it would be all over the place, and gobies aren't going to bother the betta. They're not going to fin nip it or anything.
I don't think you'd consider this different, but I think that especially depending on the color of the betta, I really do like the glow light tetras with the betta. It's just a personal thing.
Okay.
It's one of my tanks that I like the combo. But also I would say the diamond head tetra, the diamond head neon.
Just got to make sure that those tetras are fed so there's no fin nipping going on.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think that would just be really quite
I've got
amazing,
another
depending on the colors too. If it was like the similar kind of color of the, like that blue, that bright turquoise on the betta too. I mean, come on.
My brain is on point today for this.
Okay. Yeah.
You ready? Are you ready? Threadfin rainbow. It's kind of chill. It's not aggressive. Has a tiny mouth. Will most likely leave the betta alone.
Will the betta leave them alone?
Probably. In a 15-gallon, yeah. And if not, then just go with the Gertrude. Gertrude rainbow.
Is it a 15 cube or is it a 15 column?
I think she would have said it was a cube if it was a cube, bro.
Then we're
Either
assuming
way.
it's a column? Well, it could
No,
be a
no,
bow front.
I'm assuming it's a standard 15,
Okay.
which is basically the footprint of a 20, only shorter.
Okay.
But if I'm wrong, if it's a cube, then I would do the Gertrudes and not the Threadfins. I'd still do the Gobies because that would be cool. Although in a 15-gallon cube, if it's tall like the one we had, the Gobies, just getting the air down there would be
Yeah.
in a sponge
A little
filter or
tough.
something.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I understand what you're saying. Okay. Now, Scott says, I see there is a swap in Clinton,
Illinois.
Illinois. I'm like, Clinton 2? What is that? Where is that? On the last weekend, I was thinking about checking it out. So I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of a swap there.
That's fun.
But that'll be cool. If you do check it out, share with the class when
Report
you go.
back, please.
And be like, hey, this was the deal, man.
This is the deal.
Mark says, established tank, plants thriving, nitrate staying at 10 parts per million. Is my tank balanced? Heck yeah, it is. Don't mess with a good thing. That's what I always say. Unless I forget to say that.
Faye of the Fae also read it the same way. Clinton too.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm like, where is that? Dennis, thank you very much for
Dennis
making
doing Dennis things.
5-2 prime timer infants, brand new fetuses. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. You're awesome. And I hope all the prime timer infants really enjoy it too. And then you can watch the video I did today.
Oh, let's see. The betta is blue and red. Dun, 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 dun. We got the Sun 14.8 all-in-one tank from Prism Bettas. There you go.
So
Somebody.
it's just a regular tank.
Wait, wasn't somebody asking about where to get a specific kind of betta? That's probably where we would
Prism?
recommend.
Yeah.
Prism Bettas
That's a good one.
in DeKalb?
DeKalb is the
DeKalb,
store.
right?
Yeah, and she's
Yeah.
actually got a storefront now. So DeKalb's kind of a haul for anybody who's in the suburbs, but it's worth it. And
Worth it.
she also ships. So
Oh, there you go then.
you have no excuse. Aqua says, do female bettas have better temperament than males? Would they be a good choice as a centerpiece for a community tank or even with shrimp? Or do you have to keep them in a sorority? So absolutely no. You not only do you not have to keep them in a sorority. When I did my video about betta sororities, I really not a huge fan unless you've got a very large tank with some ridiculous overstocking. A lot of times without those two things, the sororities long-term don't work very well. So I would absolutely keep it solo in terms of no other bettas in the tank. In terms of shrimp safe, it's not going to matter if it's female or male. There are people who keep them with shrimp. I'm sure some of you have. I don't really do it just because they will absolutely eat shrimp babies. And I don't 100% trust them around adult shrimp. So especially if you got some expensive shrimp that you really like or something that's a little bit on the rare side, like, hey, I just got this group of pumpkin shrimp and now the smaller, they're not able to breed.
Them.
Yeah. But I think that's a good choice. It's a better choice than your standard long fin bettas for you've got a 20-gallon community or something like that. It's a better choice because they're not as likely to get fin nipped because their fins aren't long and flowy. And
They can be a little bit more mellow, a little bit more chill. They
not
can
only that,
be.
but if like your filtration, because their fins aren't so long, then they're not going to be as prone to being blown around and exhausted and that kind of thing too.
But
So.
In a community tank with a lot of different fish, they can work out quite well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sweet Vegas says, I have a 40-gallon breeder with 5 Buenos Aires tetras, 5 albino koi, 3 mystery snails, 2 blue ram cichlids. Anything you guys think I can add? I would try to add some more Buenos Aires because long term, those fish, we have them in this tank over here. They're not easy to see. I think there are still like 12 of them in there. And the trick with those is usually to keep them in big groups of 40 breeders. I mean, yeah, it can be a little bit of a challenge, but I would try to add 3 to 5 more. The blue rams, that's awesome. Mystery snails, fine. I would try to double that. that Buenos Aires situation. And the blue rams are kind of like your centerpiece. See how that goes first and make sure that they're all getting along before you add more stuff. Yeah. Alex says, in my house, water has some nitrate. Is it good to do a water change with it? Well, I mean, ideally, you would obviously want your nitrates to be 0 in your tap water, and that way when you're doing a water change to lower nitrates, you're not adding it to the tank. But let's say, for instance, your nitrate concentration is 5 parts per million. Then I wouldn't worry about it as much. It's just more of a pain when you're like, hey, I'm at 30, trying to get back down to 20. It's just going to make water changes a little bit more cumbersome. There's a couple things you could do. You don't have to go complete RO. You could put a carbon filter in that particular sink or whatever, and that will it should get a lot of that nitrate out. So you can do carbon filtration, and then that should bring it back down to pretty close to 0. If you wanted to go full RO, that's fine, but then you have to remineralize, which is a bigger pain. So there is things that can be done. Brett says, I'm a prime timer again. Woohoo! Even MD Fish Tanks tried a sorority. I think it was a 65 gallon. He plants really heavily and had to break it up. Yeah. 65 is, if it's a 4-foot 65, it can work. But the big thing there is in a 65 gallon, if it was a 4-foot 65 gallon tank, man, you're probably putting 50 female bettas in there. And it's a lot of water changes, a lot of upkeep. And then, people make the argument that's a lot of fish in a tank. And I get it. That's a fair argument, but that's what you almost have to do.
Mark wants to know, any chance I would consider a bookshelf brackish shrimp tank? What kind of brackish opie? I don't know if that's a spelling error or if that's actually.
I don't know. I don't know anything about brackish shrimp.
Brackish shrimp. I don't know anything about shrimp.
Yeah.
I do have another little bookshelf tank coming up down the pipeline, but it has very specific occupants thanks to you.
Wait, what? What are you blaming on me?
Oh, the occupants, because
of what? I wasn't paying attention. I was reading a comment.
Oh, I didn't say, because this is what happens sometimes, and this happened quite some time ago. But he comes home with certain occupants, and he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, where are you gonna put those? He's like, oh, in one of your tanks. I'm like, what tank? And then they're just in the tank. So, yeah.
Oh, you want to go there? Prime timers. Do you want to share what she did to me?
Well, it's only right.
Last week,
I can't have it looking like that.
Doing a prime timer video, and I was over there showing them the 125, talking about the fish.
That was weeks ago.
I looked down, and my beautiful bronze crypts that were granted, they were growing all along the front of the glass, which I was happy because I'm like, I can use those. All of a sudden, I see, where the heck are most of them, and why are their roots exposed? Because she went in there and ripped up the ones that were next to the front of the glass, thinking that she could just have them. I'm sorry, but those,
I needed them.
That is fish room theft, and I'm going to press charges. I am going to press charges.
Are you going to take them back, or?
After I press charges, because the proof's got to be in your little pumpkin thing that you made.
Take your photos first.
Yep. I am going to make sure that I have all the evidence, and then you are going to be locked away. Just stocked my 1-month cycled 5-gallon nano with some CPDs from Flip Aquatics. Thanks for the recommendation. Well, I am glad that they are working out. That's one where
CPDs are adorable. They're just adorable.
To me, a lot of those rasboras, it's a good thing that Flip quarantines those fish for 2 weeks, because some of them, like the CPDs and a couple of the other ones, the axelrodi, the blue rasbora, blue neon rasbora, those can look really good for like the first week, and then if there's issues, it can be pretty bad. So the fact that he's quarantining those for 2 weeks, he's going to catch a lot of that ahead of time.
Second floor says it was Tiffany Williams who was asking about bettas. Oh, there you go. So go to Prism Bettas. I'm sure she's got a website or something. I need to email Joanna about a micro tank I found and need help ideas for aquascaping. If you have a picture that you want to send me that I can't promise I'll get to it, Well, I'm really bad at emails. Really bad.
Oh yeah, she's
I
got
mean, like-
thousands. Yeah, that would absolutely drive me crazy. I'm in my emails, all the different email things
It's
that I have,
bad.
every single day.
Well,
She lets them go for months. I was like, there's
well,
like
do you know how many
7,462 emails.
junk emails I'll get?
Well,
Like,
do you
and
know whose fault that is?
well, yeah, I don't know how they're finding me. They're all different. I'll like
You know, you
block
can-
them and stuff, and then they just keep coming. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not signing up for like mailing lists or anything.
Mhm.
So the small scape at Yahoo.
Good luck.
Good. Yes, I was
There's
just gonna
about
say.
a
good luck.
4% chance that she ever sees it with the 7,426 other unread emails that are in there.
I'm not
Tampa Fish
good
says,
at adulting.
would you talk me out of adding green tiger barbs to a South Central American 75 gallon? I want to add a school of something that wouldn't get pushed around. So they, depends on what these South and Central American cichlids are. I mean, if they're big, like you got a Midas in there or Jack Dempsey's and stuff like that, they probably could just eat them at some point. If we're talking about, I've got some Severum, some Geophagus, some Electropluocara, stuff that's not like really like bruiser types, it can work. 75 gallon is, it's a 4-foot tank. So, I mean, it's possible to do the green tiger barbs if you wanted to do a dozen and see how it works out, maybe 15, as long as you're not like super overstocked with all the other ones. But if you're mostly mellow-ish South and Central Americans, it could certainly work. All right. I saw. Gina says, I have a 40 breeder with 25 Buenos Aires tetras. They do better in large groups. Yeah, the larger the better, just because they do eventually start really beating on one another.
Rink, always room for more shrimp. Am I right? You're right. You're totally right.
You know, you should probably, Rink, you should make that part of your banner on your swaps. Wouldn't that be funny? Rink Shrimp Farm.
Just always room for shrimp.
There's always room for more shrimp. That's your
a good one.
tagline. That needs to be on everything now. Business cards, T-shirts,
Call the fish police.
jackets. It's got to be everywhere. Yep.
That's funny. Second floor wants to know, did you have them microchipped to prove ownership? Otherwise, I'm probably pretty safe.
No, but you know the best part about it is it's going to be on camera. So
I did not
you
film
didn't film the crime?
where I got them. You don't actually, you just think they were used to be there.
I think I could convince a fish jury of our peers that a crime was committed, and then based on the timing of when the plants left my tank and how they just somehow magically showed up in your video, I
Okay.
think I could get a jury of our peers of 12 to find in favor of me.
That's fine, because I'm going to get a
12
jury
angry fish jurors.
of my own, and it's going to be a jury of 12 aquascapers and say, who did who a favor? Okay. Who did who a favor? You don't need them lining
You
the
can't
front
do
glass.
that unless you appeal. And then you're going to have to go to the second fish circuit court.
You can't
and
handle the truth, okay?
deep down, you need me on that tank. You want me on that tank.
Oh, gosh.
You
I
use
created a
words
monster. Oh, my gosh. Here we go.
like courage as a punchline. You have no idea what it's like spending a life trying to defend something. I'd rather you just say thank you and be on your way. Either way, I don't give a darn what you think you are entitled to. Sorry.
done?
Now everybody's deaf.
Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
did that.
awful.
Hey, Whip, thank you so much for, wow, you made 5 little
Whip.
prime timer infants too. Thank you for doing that. Really appreciate it. That's really
Ted
cool.
says that I look too innocent to be convicted. Thank you. I wouldn't
It's
do
not
that.
about that. It's just about what's right, what's wrong, and
We all know what's right.
justice. We have to have, you cannot have a loving society without a just society.
Okay, let's just, you know what? Who got me into, like, the fish keeping hobby? Like, with aquascaping?
You know what she's going to pull?
That
You
one.
know what she's going to pull? I know what you're going to pull. Oh, Marty, I'm disappointed in you. There never was
Oh.
an Aaron. Good for you, Marty. See who's got that
Oh,
one.
We're getting
The other
just
one I
the
did was
best.
easy to figure out. That one, let's see who knows what movie that's from.
Oh, that's right. Rink, you know what? And then I'm going to let it lie, but this is a good one. The plants are still in the same house. Nothing has been stolen, just moved around. Take that.
No, they left the tank. That's what matters. They left the tank. That's all that matters. Did anybody get the movie quote? I'm waiting. someone's going to have to figure that out.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'd be very disappointed in this group if nobody knew that quote.
I'm sure. I'm sure you all know
Yeah.
that ranting
Yeah.
quote.
So he made up Roy. Roy is capable. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready? Let's see here. Oh, what do we got going on here? Fish Sanity, thank you so much.
Fin Sanity.
I was looking over there. Fin Sanity, thank you so much
You have fish on the
for the
brain or
super
something?
chat. Sorry, I'm late. It's okay. You're here now. That's the important thing.
Welcome.
Back to the Future. Aqua, no, not
Oh,
Back to the
well,
Future. But that was a
that's-
good guess because
I know.
I
Oinky
said
would
Marty.
get it. Oink would totally get it.
Oink would get it.
Yeah. The
Is
movie
she
quote.
here?
No. Whip was just saying Oink would get
Yeah,
it.
Oink would get that one.
Yeah, for sure.
If I came up with a better one, let me think for a while. I'll come up with a better line from that movie, and I think more people will.
We don't
will
need more
definitely
lines
get it.
from that
Yes,
dumb
you do.
movie.
It's a great movie. In fact, we're going to watch it as soon as this live stream is over.
Ugh.
Yeah, Emma said Back to the Future. No, it's not Back to the Future, but it's a good guess. It's a good one. Gina, thank you so much for making another prime timer. We have a lot of prime timer parents here tonight. Thank you for that.
Aw.
Six says, yeah, it's hard to lose something you cared about. Actually, I'm pretty sure I won the fight against Finrot on my other betta. He's doing great, and his fins are regrowing. That's a good
All
thing.
right.
That is a good
nice.
thing.
That's so rewarding.
How cool is that? All right. I am scrolling.
That is tough every time I gotta go to the Petco or the
Well, seriously,
PetSmart
can
and
we
you
watch
walk
that
by.
movie when we're done?
Oh no!
Yeah,
And we walk,
yeah, we can.
and I walk by the bettas and the cups, and I'm just like, you know what? I wish they wouldn't do that anymore. I really do.
Sell bettas?
Yes, because
You used
I
to have a
just-
serious problem.
I did.
She
but
couldn't go to a store without coming home with one. It was like, where are we going to put this? That was the whole reason why she had her Nano Nook, because she couldn't control herself when it came to bettas. But then you learned, and I'm proud of you.
I did.
Tampa says, I have a Firemouth and a Salvini in there, as well as a Rainbow. Okay, so they're not, yeah, those are pretty chill. They don't care about rose lines, and I think the Tiger Barbs would look cool in there. Yeah, with that kind of a grouping, you'd be fine. They're not overly super aggressive or anything like that.
Also, Pennywise used aquarium salt and methylene blue to treat them.
Oh, nice.
Good to
Very
know.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, let me see here. Let me scroll. I just saw it. How come this screen is moving so stinking slow?
I don't know.
Luminin, thank you very much for being a prime timer the last 5 months. Headed to Flip Aquatics tomorrow. Excited. Hopefully, I'll make it to the swap to meet you guys one day too.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. We are, the green waters. We try to make those, the GCCAs, and then the quads are going to be a little bit more challenging just because they're kind of far.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me scroll back up again because I saw a couple that I wanted to answer. But then the whole talk of the criminal over here. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I think this weekend there's the green. If you're going to the green water swap, for those of you who just love animals, I'm fairly certain I saw a post that the Tinley Park, the major reptile show, which is only about a mile or two from there, is happening. So that is
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
a huge deal.
It is huge. So
Mhm.
there's a chance we might try to stop by. I've never been to it before, but it's basically like the Aquashella of reptiles and stuff. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get a chance to get over there. Okay, all right. I'm scrolling. Where was the dang question I saw? Oh, well. I can't find it. I
Gone?
scrolled as much as I could. So, if you were to summarize your top shell dwellers, if you
Well-
were going to pick, if you were going to escape a tank, what would you do?
Okay, but here's the thing. This is a pop quiz. Well, do you know my favorite shell dweller?
I don't know. I don't have any idea. Don't look at me like that. You've never shared that with
I
me
have.
before. No, you have not.
Because they have. Well,
She
so
has.
then you
She probably thinks that in the
All
middle of
right,
one of her
I'm gonna
thefts
have
or
to-
crimes that she commit, fish room crimes.
there's no plants in there.
She watches way too many crime shows, and now she's taking it out in the fish room. Yeah.
That's
She
right.
thinks she can get away with it because she's an expert.
in the darkness.
She's not. Set up cameras.
Um,
She's
Maltese.
But-
But why See, you're not even remember why. I've said it multiple
Oh, I know why.
times.
No, I do know why.
Why?
Because they're easy to get on, like to take a picture of. They pose.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And their eyes are just stunning.
Yeah. Oh, they got the blue eyes. Yeah, it's very cool.
But yes, they are the most photogenic fish. They'll just be like, "You want me here?
Yeah.
You want me here? What do you want? Take your time."
Ted, that's right. So, do they just call it the Narbic show for short? Is that what the reptile people call it? The NARBC show? That's what it is. Yeah. Hey, I want to head to Narbic. Hope to see you over there at the Narbic reptile thing. But it's big. It's cool. Rat, thank you so much. Been watching Cubs. Still up 3-0. What's the inning? Can somebody please tell me the inning? Because I can't even watch this silly thing being on TBS. Don't get me started with that again, because that just makes me mad. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what is the movie quote answer?
Oh, I don't know hold on. Okay. Can I just have one more opportunity? Let me think. There's just so many quotes, but nothing that would be appropriate to say
I know.
on a live
It's a
stream.
yucky movie.
All right, so the movie was Primal Fear, and it is one of the best
Good twist.
movies that,
Thanks.
if you've never seen it, and don't ruin it here,
Yeah.
but it is
This is what
probably
happens
one
at
of the
the end.
best movies
I'm going to tell you. I just
that
want
I've
to see if
seen.
you're listening.
So there are certain movies that I love from my era. That one, Fight Club, Pulp Fiction. Just the way they were done and the story that was told. But that one, and A Few Good Men, that's way, that might be like my top. But what's interesting is A Few Good Men and Primal Fear are both like law movies. You've got lawyers, and in Primal Fear, you've got Richard Gere, who does a pretty good job. But you have Ed Norton. And to me, Ed Norton is one of the most complex actors out there during his time. Why Marvel decided to move away from Ed Norton for the Incredible Hulk and move to the other dude is beyond me. I don't care how difficult he is to work with. You figure it out, because his work in Primal Fear was, it was one of the greats of that era, to be sure. It was like him in Primal Fear, Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, Brad Pitt and Ed Norton in Fight Club were unbelievable. And then Pulp Fiction, just the story was like, it was just mind-blowing back when it first came out. Like, what is going on here, man?
All right. So you got a lot of people who appreciate your choice of movies.
Thank you very
Y'all
much.
can watch it with them.
Yeah.
You says, my wife at the beginning of her hobby had the same problem with bettas as well. The problem is we live close to Thailand, going to the betta farm a whole day.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Girl, Ed Norton hated the Hulk movie. I bet he did, because I don't think they utilized his talents. They didn't let him develop that character. They had a very, just a script.
Yeah.
This is a superhero movie. We're going to do it like this.
This is what you're gonna do, yeah.
And quite frankly, it was before they really started getting on their game. Like Iron Man came out, and then after that, I think, was the Hulk. And then once they really hit their stride, they could have used him, and he could have developed that character into. I think had he remained the Hulk, he might have been one of the most important characters of that entire Avengers thing, where, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. just stole the show, but Ed Norton would have given him a run for his money. I wouldn't doubt if Robert Downey Jr. was kind of jealous.
What likes Mark better than Norton?
No way, man. No way. No, Mark Ruffalo. He was okay. Don't get me wrong. He was fine, but he just didn't have the depth. He's not capable of having the depth that Ed Norton has if Ed Norton was 6 feet under. So, he'd still have more depth than pretty much most actors. Yep. Gina says Fight Club is in my top 5. That's because you know. Yep. Ed Norton, American History X. Yeah, that is a very hard movie to watch. That's a rough one, man. That's one of those ones. It's really deep, but I can't watch that. I couldn't watch
Mystic
that.
River. That was pretty tough too.
Yeah, but Mystic River,
like that,
I didn't really even like the movie, because it was.
I thought it was well done.
It was well done, but
what's his name? Was really good in it.
Yeah.
So I can see why John
Yeah.
KG.
Yeah.
He really loves that movie, and he loves Sean Penn. I think that's his favorite actor in there. I think so. I might be wrong, but
Yeah. I don't know, man. All right. I think on that happy note, you have an assignment to do, and that is to watch all those movies. You're going to have to watch A Few Good Men, Primal Fear,
I'm so sorry.
Fight Club, Pulp Fiction.
All right, girls.
And Yeah.
All right, girls.
Watch the
I got
same
a
thing.
quote. I got a quote. Who's going to get it? It's very random. I actually don't expect anybody to get it, but it is the season, so are you ready? You're not
Okay.
going to know it. You're right. You're right. I know you're right.
Who knows? I'm going to answer this one last thing, and then
Who's
we're
gonna
going
know
to
it?
call it a night. Beto says, is World War Z worth watching? It's okay, in my
Is that
opinion.
Brad Pitt?
The maybe, I don't remember. To me, the better movie like that is Outbreak. I really like that movie. That had Morgan Freeman in there, and then I don't remember who else, but Gina Russo.
Renee Russo
yeah.
and Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman, yeah.
Even I know that.
That was a pretty darn good
That's
movie.
too vague for me. Some Hallmark movie, no.
They're all the same. If you watch one Hallmark movie, you've seen every
Right,
single
but we know
one
that.
of them. Yeah.
When we watch the Hallmark movies, you just know it, and it's fun to
Wait a
like pick
minute.
it.
This is wrong on so many levels, Tiffany. I illegally downloaded Fight Club on my laptop while attending Christian college. Nice
Oh,
job.
man.
Nice job. All right.
Anyways, well, I have to
Let's-
say the movie just for anybody who's
Okay,
just
go ahead. Get it
absolutely
over
just
with.
dying to know. When Harry Met Sally in the bookstore, her and Princess Leia,
Okay.
Carrie Fisher.
There you have it. Well, we're going to be back. Same time, same place next week. We will have a giveaway next week because we have one lined up. As always, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you to all of our new prime timers and our prime timer parents and our moderators who are always doing such an awesome job. And for those of you who are asking great questions, have a great week, and we will see you again next week.
Oh, wait. Please answer Whip's member chat before you go. I'm glad I looked down. Oh, and Mark says, by Ula. I got to look that up. Halo
membership-
Caradina, Ruba, Hawaiian
I
red
don't
shrimp.
see
I got to look that up.
a membership.
Dude,
chat.
answer Whip's question.
I don't see it anywhere.
Oh,
I mean, was it really, really, really early?
Sorry, Whip. It's only like
Oh,
really
there we
large
go.
green box there.
Sorry. I need ideas for a small community-based species that I can go with my Blythe River rainbows. See, I don't know because I don't know a ton of fish besides other rainbows.
Yeah, Australian.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That sounds fun, Whip.
Yeah, we'll have to talk
Um,
offline about that because I'm not. Besides other rainbows, I'm not aware of too many Australian fish. So, yeah,
It sounds like a fun scape to do.
Yeah.
That would be totally different.
yeah.
Huh.
But we'll give me some time to think about it for sure. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week, everyone. Congratulations, Whip, on
Yep.
1,000. Bye-bye.
Bye.